I'm going to talk about grips to start with on the forehand. So you've got a lot of different grips that you can use. A lot of people, beginners or more classical tennis players, will be using the continental grip, okay, the chopper grip, as if you're kind of hammering and taking an axe to a piece of wood. Okay. Now, this is okay for getting the ball over the net, but it doesn't really help you with anything other than that, with any sort of topspin. As I come through the ball and make contact with it, my racket is going to be quite open. Okay. Now, this can limit me to some things. Okay. The next grip is called Eastern grip. Okay. So that is one bevel over then continental, all right? Now, if you see what this does to my racket, this is continental. You see it's quite flat. Eastern is one bevel over. So now my racket is a little bit more of an angle. This helps me, as I make contact with the ball, keep my racket over the ball, and I can start to generate a little bit of topspin in my swing. The next grip is called semi-western. Now, this is the most commonly grip used on the tour, especially with our juniors. We try to teach semi-western grip as much as possible. This is a perfect middle ground. I'm in semi-western grip right now. Okay, the best way to find this is I put my racket on the floor, or I lay it flat, and I pick my racket up without moving my grip. This is typically semi-western grip. If you look at my angle of my racket, now my racket is at an angle, so as I come through the ball and make good contact out in front, now I can generate some topspin and come over the ball, okay? If I tried to do this in continental grip, and I tried the same motion, the ball is going to go way, way up in the air. Okay, so then the final grip is full Western grip. Now, this one has its limitations. So it does cater a lot for those who like to hit with a lot of topspin. But you're going to limit yourself on the depth that you can create on the ball, and it doesn't really allow the racket to be too maneuverable. You also have to work very, very hard to get the speed on the ball that you want, because you're generating so much topspin. Okay. Now, this is what it will look like as I'm trying to hit the ball. Okay, so as you can see, the racket head is really closed. Okay, now as I come through the ball here, I'm going to have a lot of racket head speed to get that ball over the net, as opposed to semi-western, as opposed to Eastern, as opposed to continental. Continental, I could be sitting in my chair and coming through the ball, and I'm going to get the ball over the net. But if I take a full swing out of it in continental, the ball is going to go into the moon. There are three different stances that you can use for tennis. The first one is closed stance or square stance. Now, that is typically, I'm a right-handed tennis player, so that is me hitting the ball off of my left foot. Okay, so I'm going to try to put my left foot forwards into the court and drive through as far as I can. This is typically for a ball that is dropping as it's getting to me, or any kind of low ball that is central. When I hit this ball is going to go over the net quite low. It's going to be more of a drive. I'm not going to be able to generate a lot of shape on the ball in this stance. The next stance is a little bit over from square stance. This is semi-open stance. Now, this is a stance that's often used with the pros and often used with high-performance players. There's a big difference here, because now I'm hitting off of my right leg instead of my left leg. And my legs are a little bit wider than before. Okay? This allows me to coil my body around the ball and uncoil my body around the ball as I hit. This gives me a little bit more range of motion in my swing, and also a little bit more height on the ball. I would be using this stance if the ball is rising towards me, or if I get pushed out wide for any sort of shot. And the third and final stance is open stance, straight open, okay? Now, no foot is in front of the other. I'm just square toward the net. Now, this stance is typically the most advanced stance to be hitting in. You need a lot of balance and you need a lot of spatial awareness. Typically, higher level tennis players will be using this stance more often. You also have to have a decent amount of range of motion in your upper body. This helps me generate a lot of power and help direct the ball cross court if I need to. Also, if I am ever on the run, then I will go a little bit more open and hit off of my right leg. Very, very important. Before I hit the ball, I am thinking about what stance I am going to hit the ball in, based off of how high the ball is coming to me, how fast the ball is coming to me, and how wide the ball is coming toward me. Timing is way more important than technique, to an extent. If I have great timing but poor technique, it may still get me to a decent level. But there are always limitations that you will meet due to technical deficiencies. For example, I could play in continental grip for my forehand and have great timing, but I may come up against somebody who can play in a semi-western grip and be able to hit topspin to me. This will cause me issues as I'm rallying, because I won't be able to drive the ball effectively. I will be forced to slice the ball if I'm playing in continental. But my timing might be great. Unfortunately, to a point, timing means nothing if you are playing against somebody who is more technically sound. All right, so we're gonna go over contact point, okay? Now, I mentioned before the contact point should be out in front, okay? I should be able to see my racket making contact with the ball, okay, after every time I hit. So my arm is not locked, but it's straight, okay? Now, obviously, I don't want to really be playing tennis like this, so I'm going to add in some rotation with this as well, okay? If I don't make contact out in front, and I hit the ball too late, so I'm squished, then the ball is going to go out to my right, okay? And the swing also is not going to look very pretty, okay? And that's ultimately why we're all here, is to look good. So that's not going to happen, okay? So I need to make sure that I'm thinking in my head to make contact as far out in front as I possibly can. Something that helps me with this is thinking about two things. Either my strings are really sticky, so I'm trying to get the ball to stick to my strings for as long as I possibly can. So I'm guaranteeing that I get really far contact out in front, okay? Okay, a second thing to think about, which might help, is imagine you're hitting through 3 balls instead of 1 ball. If I hit through 1 ball, what might happen is I might make contact right here and then immediately go over to my shoulder. That is going to cause the ball to go into the net. So if I swing and hit through to go over my shoulder a little prematurely, the ball is going to go straight down. Okay, I'll do one more like this. So my racket's back and prepped. I make contact, but I'm swinging down too early. Not only does it look a little forced, but you're not going to get very much power out of that. I don't know if any of you guys have been in a position where you're trying to swing as hard as you possibly can, but nothing happens. That's more likely why. So I'm going to try to hit through 3 balls instead of 1. Okay, I'm going to make contact and then try to come through as if I'm making contact with 3 balls in a nice line instead of 1. Okay, contact and through, contact and through. Okay, so this is how a player should use their non-dominant arm during a forehand. This is going to be easy for me to demonstrate because I'm going to suddenly not use it and you guys can see if it looks weird. Okay, now it probably looks a little flimsy, okay? Now, if I have this left arm out in front of me now, it's going to act a little bit as a balance or a counterweight, okay? Now, imagine I'm walking across a tightrope. I'm not going to walk across a tightrope with one arm out. I want two arms out. It's a big balance thing. So as the ball is coming my way, my left arm's going to come out roughly level with my shoulder, and I'm going to rotate. If you're super old school, which I love, you can try to catch your racket with your left hand. This helps with your stability. One other thing that it helps with is your positioning and your spacing. If I have something out in front, I know roughly where the ball is. So it helps me hit out in front a little bit too, okay? And catch. And you get that tennis magazine finish as you hit the ball. So proper weight transfer on your forehand. This is very, very important. It is key to understand which leg you are loading on to ensure good weight transference towards the ball. It also helps if you're hitting out in front. Otherwise, everything is going to come back. If I want to hit off of my left foot, I have to make sure that my body weight is on my left leg. As I bring my racket back and as I swing, I'm going to rotate off of my left leg to come through and transfer my body weight. So I'm going to come from here, swing, and come through. Now, if I'm swinging extra hard, I might even want to bring everything around. Through. Now I've transferred my weight toward the net. If I want to go into a different stance, like semi-open stance like this, I want to put my body weight on my right leg. My racket's going to come back. As I swing through, my body is going to transfer its weight from my right hip to my left hip. Very much like this is how my weight transfer is going to go. But it's going to be with my swing. Okay? If I don't transfer my body weight, and I stay on this leg, which is very common, things like that is going to happen. Let's watch. So let's do, some bad ones. Okay, so I'm transferring or not transferring anything. So if I don't transfer anything, I just feel like I'm swinging with my arm. Which is not good. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you always have some form of weight transfer. Let's do some ones that might look okay. So I'm trying to transfer my body weight as much as possible into the court, through different stances. But my weight transfer is always forwards and out in front. Notice I'm not trying to hit it as hard as I possibly can. If I try to do that, my weight transfer may go off a little bit, okay? So if you are someone that is filled with testosterone every time you come to a tennis court, try to think about your stances first, and then you can think about ripping. One of the most common mistakes beginners make on their forehand is that they instantly want to hit the ball hard, and they equate a hard hit to being a good hit, okay? Which, to those of you who are tennis players, is not necessarily the case. As coaches, we want to see someone make 100 balls in a row first before they make a blistering forehand winner, okay? So that is number one, is rally tolerance, is kind of what we call it. The second one seems simple, but it never happens, is aiming. Now, I could be hitting forehands here And they could be going over the net. This is kind of in continental grip. They could be going over the net. I'm a beginner forehand right now, and it could be great, okay? But if I don't aim, then I don't really know if it's great or not. I could hit the best forehand of my life, but if it's not where I aim, I could have hit it really late and not realized. So every time you hit a forehand, you have to have a rough area of where it's going to go. Otherwise, you have no feedback of whether it was good, bad, or terrible. Okay, so this is a big one. Why does my forehand go long even though the swing feels good? This brings me to a point of a pet peeve of mine where you will have members hit the ball long, they have a great swing, the ball goes long, and they'll say, oh, too much. I put too much on that. That's why it went long. Tennis is not golf. You don't need to put too much on stuff. You actually need to put more on it to keep it in play, okay? Now, providing I have enough weight transfer to move forwards, if I hit the ball long, the chances are that I hit it too flat, okay? Or I didn't get enough shape on the ball. So by saying, oh, too much, that doesn't count, that doesn't equate to any scenario, really, where you are going to be hitting a ball, unless you're in continental grip and you shoot it to the moon, okay? So I'm going to try to get as much spin on the ball as I can to try to guarantee that the ball is always going to drop down. Like my friend Logan here, who loves hitting with spin. Now, if I try to hit it harder, I have to guarantee that I have the spin. Okay, so if I have more racket head speed, I have more spin. Now, if I have less racket head speed and less spin, the ball will go long. So if the ball goes long with less racket head speed and less spin, and you're saying you put too much on the ball, that doesn't make any sense. You need to put more on the ball to keep the ball in play. Okay, so there are a few things that can cause a weak feeling or a pushed forehand. Some of them are purely environmental factors, such as you might have some people watching you that might make you nervous, okay, which might make you tense and you'll grip the racket too hard and you won't be able to get that extension, that acceleration, that weight transfer, okay. That is honestly probably the biggest reason, okay. The second reason is a little bit more technical, okay. So I might be very relaxed, but I might not bring my racket back ever. So I might just keep my racket out in front and try to hit. Now, if I've got good timing, I might be able to get away with it. But I'm never going to really be able to hit it very hard, okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. Unless you got great timing. But normally people have that. So just make sure to bring the racket back as you hit the ball. Okay, so this is my favorite forehand drill, even though there's a backhand involved. My favorite forehand drill is a backhand slice line, followed by a forehand line and an inside-out forehand cross-court, okay? The reason that this is good is because it forces my opponent, generally, to give me a forehand. Okay, and I like hitting forehands. And I don't like hitting topspin backhands. So this drill is really built for me. This is what it looks like. So I go backhand slice, that opens up the court, and then I can hammer it. That's my favorite drill. Okay, so someone who overuses their arm instead of their body is going to look something like this. Maybe not that bad. Maybe that bad. Maybe worse. Who knows? So what we're going to do is just try to isolate everything that they're doing up here and just bring it down to here. Okay, so there's two ways of doing this, depending on the ability level of the player. I can either stay in closed stance like this and have my racket back, and then my lovely assistant here is going to drop the ball in front of me, so I can try to hit the ball, but I'm not allowed to move. So now all I'm doing is reaching out in front, and I'm trying to bring my left foot and put body weight on my left foot and rotate. Okay, so this is me isolating my feet if I'm in more of a closed stance, more of a square stance, okay? The next one we're going to do is for someone who's a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to put myself in semi-open stance, okay? My right leg's going to come out, all my body weight's on my right leg, my racket's back, my son's going to feed me a ball, and then I rotate. And then I rotate. Okay, so I'm trying to only use my legs here to hit the ball. What might happen is that you won't want to rotate and you'll just try to hit like this. Okay? That's when you have a very talented tennis coach to tell you to transfer your body weight. So how does spin change the effectiveness of the forehand? Well, some players, most club players, will hit the ball one of two ways. They're either going to hit the ball flatter because their technique will limit them, or they'll hit the ball naturally with more spin. Maybe they're putting a semi-western grip straight away, and they just have a spinny forehand, okay? If you're playing against someone who hits with a lot of spin, the ball is going to go over the net typically a little bit higher, okay? And the ball will kick up a little bit to the opponent, like my assistant just did there, and really made me struggle. Similarly, if someone is a flatter ball hitter, typically those balls are going to go over the net at a faster speed because there's less spin acting on the ball. And it's more of a direct contact. As you see there, my assistant doesn't like the flat forehand. He hit it in the net. If you are an advanced player, you're able to do both, and you can manipulate how you want the ball to spin based off of lots and lots of different scenarios.